Well, first of all, I don't have to answer questions to the press.
Oh.
It's just unbelievable. As I sat for all those years in prison, I continually wondered what kind of reaction I would get when I got out. I was very fearful of the reception that I would get, but it's just been amazing to me, and I'm so grateful to the kindness and consideration and courtesy of the people of the state. In the 9 months that I've been out, I have not had a single person tell, now I'm sure there are different people, but I have not had a single person tell me anything derogatory, and I really appreciate that very much. It's made me feel like this is a state I've always loved. Well, unfortunately, and from some aspects, the whole South, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, in the last 2 decades have been gradually moving to the right. And we were probably the last state to have a real influx of Republicans. However, I want to remind everybody that it is I, in 1973, when we wrote the Constitution and we changed the election law, that is I that made it possible for people to vote in any election regardless of how they registered and regardless of how the candidate is registered, and that gives the people a real choice. And if they want to vote Republican or Independent or Democrat, I just hope that they vote for the person that he or she thinks is best qualified to run the state. I would make several observations. One, I would not in this forum try to convince anybody that I should not have been convicted. I feel that way, but I'm not on that mission today. But I was tried 4 times by the federal government, and in the 3 cases where we had fair and impartial judges, no problem. They could not get but 1 vote out of 36. When we got to Baton Rouge, where the prosecution changed the venue from New Orleans to Baton Rouge to this particular judge, I knew we were in trouble because of his attitude and things that he did during the trial to help the prosecution and to disadvantage us and to make it more difficult to present our case contributed to what actually happened. But I want to make 2 observations. One, contrary to popular belief, I was not convicted of stealing money, and I was not convicted of selling riverboat licenses. Nobody testified at all that I had interfered with the process. What happened is that friends who got licenses, let me repeat that, they got their licenses, and who testified that I had done nothing to help them get the licenses, made deals with the government to save themselves and get out of problems they had, to testify against me. And they simply said that they thought if they didn't pay me, that they would have problems. Now, 2 things come out of that. One, nobody testified that I got a nickel before I got out of the governor's office. It all started, whatever it was, right or wrong, good or bad, after I was out of the governor's office. And number 2, the feds let one man keep a riverboat license that they claim had been improperly obtained. He made $103 million off of selling the license, and I got 8.5 years in prison. I don't think that's fair. If what I did was wrong, he should not have been able to keep the money. Well, the state of the Democratic Party in this state is almost non-existent. People, with exception of minorities and older people who remember what it was like, are moving into the Republican Party, and that's their privilege, as long as they don't change their attitude. Whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat, let's take care of the people. That's what's important. Labels are unimportant.
What advice would you?
Well, we need to find credible candidates who are registered as Democrats and who are willing to remain as Democrats, and to take the principle of helping people into office. We need to encourage them to run. I recognize that that's difficult to do. These are hard times. It's hard to raise money, and there's so many problems in Louisiana. Many good people that I know, Republicans and Democrats, don't want to run because they don't want to face the responsibility and the problems of being governor, and they are tremendous. We owe $1.5 billion in unpaid bills that this administration has accumulated. Somebody's going to have to see about paying them, and that's going to be a tough thing to do.
Would you run if you could, Governor?
Yes, I would. I would not have said that a year ago, but the reception that I've gotten since I got out of prison and the polls that I've seen, both call-in polls and accurate polls taken by professional pollsters, have all indicated that I would win. And for that reason, I'm kind of glad I can't, because if I ran and won, I would have to worry about facing the problems that this state has, and I'm the kind of fellow who would face them. I would get criticized, but I'd get them worked out. Well, of course, I regret and regretted every day of my prison life that I was in prison. But you know what? I made a promise to my daughter and to myself when I walked into prison that I would walk out and I would live to walk. I walked in and I would live to walk out, and that's what I've done. They had me by the yo-yo, but they never had my head. I really feel that something happened. 250,000 people in Louisiana signed a petition for clemency. The AFL-CIO statewide adopted a unanimous resolution in favor of it. The president's father and his mother asked him to sign the clemency. I had a dozen very close, high-level political figures talk to him, and we were all assured and of the belief that before he got out of office, he would do it. Why he didn't, I don't know. He wasn't obligated to do it. I can't say that he violated any trust that I had in him, because he never promised me that he would do that. But I was surprised. But nevertheless, I went to bed that night and I said, there'll be another day. I'll get out of here sometime, and when I do, I'll continue doing what I like doing best, helping people.
And there's a lady who has established. Talk to her, and what do you think about that?
I haven't talked to her. I'm aware of it, and I appreciate her efforts, and I appreciate anybody who wishes to join in the effort. But right now, I don't see that as a possibility. Things are too mixed up, and I just feel like to get a presidential pardon is just so difficult to do. This man has only pardoned, I think, 15 or 20 people since he's been president, and I'm not expecting it. Don't go to bed at night thinking about it. I'd be glad to have it.
What about your new?
Well, that's something that is difficult for people to understand, and I recognize that. I'm 84 years old, and she's 33. And the presumption among many people who do not know her and do not know me well is that, oh, there's some problem there. There isn't. Truth of the matter is, she's a Republican, always has been. And when she read the book, which we're here today to try to promote, she wrote to me, as did several thousand people,